Where do you rank Manuel Pellegrini in the managers sort of league table?
That's a difficult question. Because to know exactly, you need to see how a manager is working in his team, in his club. But from outside, I think it's a very respectful manager. He was coaching big teams like Real Madrid. And he's now the manager in the last few years in City. And successful. Maybe he can win the Champions League. It's a possibility, and I think it's a manager who I like as a football player, because I think he's always respectful. He's not shouting. He's trying to play good football with his team, and that's difficult. It's difficult because you change a lot. It's a lot of pressure, but I think he's one of the best coaches in Europe, and in my opinion, he's a very respectful manager. Sorry.
With the respectful, does that sort of make you a bit uneasy that he's sort of all quiet rather than all shouty out loud? It's sort of on the back foot?
I don't know, because I don't see him in a dressing room. I don't see him doing meetings before the game, but what I see is from distance. And what I see when we play City, how he is trying to give his team the right direction, and I think that's very good.
So he's one of the best managers. He's going to be replaced by Pep Guardiola. Where do you rate him?
Yeah, but what's the best manager? The best manager is who winning trophies.
And sort of innovating the game as well, I guess you could.
Yeah, that's true. But okay, that's up to the players that you have, and if you have the best players, it's more easy.
You're quite good friends with Pep?
Yeah, very good friends. Yes.
Did you coach him?
I didn't coach him. I coached him on the pitch.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Did you play with him?
Yes. For that, I said I coached him on the pitch. I played behind him, and he was young, and he needs to know the right directions.
What's he going to bring to the Premier League?
Nah, if you analyze him, how he's coaching, and how he was coaching Barcelona, and how he tried to play football with Bayern Munich, then I think maybe they change a little bit the way of playing, but that's in detail. But you need good players. If you don't have good players, you can play offensively, you can play defensively, but no way, possibility. It's all about the players that you have.
One of the things you're most looking forward to next season is catching up with him.
Now that's nice, because we know each other very well, and it's always nice to meet one of your friends if you play against him.
In terms of Jay Rodriguez, obviously you gave him a game last week and he played 70 minutes at Aston Villa. Where do you see him for the rest of the season? Is this just a case of trying to build him up in readiness for next season?
Oh yeah, it's of course that he missed a lot this season. That you like him to improve, and you like to give him what he needs, still more game time, still more freshness, and of course then with a very good pre-season, but I mentioned the same last year, with a very good pre-season, that he is really on his level, and that's what we have to do. But we have competition in our squad. We're still fighting for something. Maybe if we don't play really more to get Europe, maybe it makes it different. Then you can think maybe in young players or players who needs game time. But that's always the doubts of a manager to put your first 11 on the pitch.
In terms of what you were saying about Leicester earlier, and the fact that this is almost perhaps a bit of a freak season, and that next season it might well go back to normal. You look at the big clubs, most of them getting new managers, most of them will probably spend a huge amount of money to avoid the seasons they've had this year. as a manager of the club in sort of the rung below that, does it put extra pressure on you? Because do you think people are going to be saying, well, Leicester did it, so that's the next step for you?
Yeah, okay, but it's not more pressure, because we have enough pressure in Southampton, because what we showed last year and already with Pochettino in that first season, and also this season, that we showed that we are a stable Premier League club, that we can fight for more than really middle of the table. But it's difficult. Everybody knows that it needs to be perfect to win the title in the Premier League, and you need no European football, no injuries in important players. The big teams need to struggle a little bit, and that happened. Everything happened this season, and it don't happen every season.
It's not just winning the title, though, is it? For a club like Southampton, we would have said probably at the start of the season that even just breaking the top four would have required all of that to happen.
No, I think that's more normal and more achievement for clubs like Southampton. Yes.
Just on Pellegrini, if he were to win the Champions League, and I know obviously they've made the decisions in advance, but for a manager to potentially win the Champions League and lose their job, is that just an unfortunate reality of football?
Yeah, that's the reality in football. But they make that decision, and I don't know. I don't know why. But okay, that's football, and that's not the first time. That's the future of the club and the people involved in to make that decisions. I don't know.
Would you expect Pellegrini to, get another top job somewhere else and keep going?
Yes, normally yes, because he showed to be a very good manager, and for very good managers is always a club.
How impressed have you been with how he's handled all of that? You talking about him being a respectful manager.
Yeah, but to give answers about that type of questions, you need to know how it went with him and the board of City. I don't know. What I mentioned before, that in my opinion he's always one of the most respectful colleagues what I see, and in the press, in understanding his job, understanding why he gets that kind of questions. You don't make him crazy, and that's good, because I like that.
Ronald, you mentioned that the board have already sort of put their plan for 5 years. What do you think this club is capable of over the next 5 years? Whether you're
That's a good question for the end of.
the outside looking in.
That's a good question for the end of the season, and not now, because we are fighting, and we play Sunday home, Man City, a nice challenge, and that's for after the season.
Because the season's still very much alive. Will it be frustrating if you actually miss out on Europe now? Which I mean, is the possibility of course.
Frustrated not, because we did several mistakes in our away games that we need maybe 3 wins out of Man City home, Tottenham away, and Crystal Palace home, and that's difficult.
But it is possible.
It's possible, yes, of course it's possible.
It must be pleasing for you that right towards the end of the season there is still plenty to play for. It's not just a dead season for you.
That's good. That's nice. What I like, and that was where we start for the season, to get really a high position on the table, to fight for something on the end of the season, and of course that's good to see, because that keep the belief, to keep the spirit in finishing the season in a good way.
So whatever happens now, you will look on it as a satisfactory season.
Yes, because and it's always difficult to make the next step, of to come more close to the more up in the table, and But I know what we can do to come more closer. But that's for next season. I hope.